Ja, hallo, ich möchte ganz herzlich begrüßen im Namen des DFF, Deutsches Filminstitut und Filmmuseum. And I will switch to English now because of our guests, so they will understand a little bit of what we are telling here. And yes, a very warm welcome to the cinema of the DFF. And I'm very honored to welcome our two guests for tonight and for the coming days. And yes, Antoinetta Angelidi, hello and welcome. And Rea Walldén, her daughter and collaborator, and she will also in the next days help us a little bit with the translation. So thank you very much, and also warm welcome. Yeah, I know Antoinetta since many years, not personally. We only met once about 20 years ago, but I knew about her work, but I had only the opportunity to see one of her films. And so I'm very happy that now we have the opportunity to see also the other films and to see them on the big screen. And I want to thank Gary because he was watching us and yes, asked us if we want to do this retrospective. And yes, since many years we work together and we are doing programs here in our cinema. But this is, I think, a little bit special situation because we are not now working more closer and we are really doing this retrospective together. So yes, I'm very happy about this and want to thank you for this and want to turn yes the word to you and to say also some welcome words.
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you very much, Natascha, for for this collaboration, which as you said was particular because you had a very personal relationship to the work of our two guests. I also want to welcome Antoinetta Angelidi and Rea Walldén. Thank you very much for being here. And me as part of the Filmkollektiv Frankfurt, I've been wanting to do this program also for many years because a friend and long-time collaborator who also was a guest at the Filmkollektiv before, Céline Rouivot, who is also here this evening in, I think, 2018 or 19, drew my attention to the fact that there's this great filmmaker, Antoinetta Angelidi, whom Céline knew. Céline, you can elaborate on this in the next days. But so, yeah, back then, by now it's 6 years, I had for the first time this idea to organize this program, and yeah, I'm glad that we are finally doing it. In case you haven't seen it outside, so this is the flyers for the retrospective, and I'm also very curious to discover the films and around half of them on film print here in the cinema. And I want to thank for the fact that we are able to have this program, to have you as a guest, our main sponsors, namely the Hessen Film- und Medien GmbH and das Kulturamt der Stadt Frankfurt, the Cultural Office of the City of Frankfurt, and also for collaboration in the promotion of this event, the Kulturforum Frankfurt. And then I would leave to Natascha again to say words, and we will.
Yes.
I will leave it to you. So.
Yes. No. Okay, I don't want to talk too much because we have the guests here and they should talk about their films. But I just wanted to say some little things about the context of the films, because the work of Antoinetta Angelidi is very outstanding in the context of the Greek cinema history. The avant-garde filmmaker, there was almost she's like a solitaire. In the history of Greek film, and there was no procedures before because there was no avant-garde film cinema in like the 20s here in Germany or sometimes after war in other countries. So in Greece there is almost nothing about that. Okay, I don't want to say nothing because in the 50s there has been some filmmakers who maybe have some. Yes, not like avant-garde, but more independent and against the normal filmmaking. Yes, this work is really solitaire. And and yes, increased only after 1974, when after the dictatorship fall, there was a new wave of Greek cinema. So yes, so as there was, the avant-garde was not existing in Greek cinema, but still there was in Greek art, in other art forms, there have been, of course, some avant-garde. In architecture, there was a modernism in the 20s and 30s. In the paintings, you had a work like Gikas, who is very famous at that time, and also in poetry there has been poems of Angelopoulos and of Eberikos, like surrealistic poems. So there has been all some kind of inspiration also for the work of Antoinetta. And she was also very interested in art from younger years, from her youth. She was very interested in painting. She did also a lot of painting, and then she studied architecture. And it was also only when they went to France, she had to leave Greece because of the junta, the military dictator, and it was there where she finally. Also because of a painting and a dream, but she will tell us about that in the next days. She came to filmmaking, and yes, also in filmmaking, of course, there has been a lot of influences from European filmmakers. Like Murnau, we will meet him in some of her films in the next days, and Dreyer, they also all have been some kind of inspiration for her. Yes, so yes. Maybe just to have a little bit of this context, and as I said, next days we will learn more. We have the documentary tomorrow about her, and that was made by Rea Walldén, her daughter, and yes, there we will see more. So just also 3 words about you, Rea. She not a filmmaker, a film theorist, and a philosopher, and she's working in Athens at the Essen University, the Department of Digital Art and Cinema at the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens, and she does a lot of research also, including feminism, which is also a big theme of Antoinetta, of course, avant-garde film, also something that joins you, and experimental cinema, and yes, so yes, just to have a little idea. And now I want to ask you to come in front and tell us a little bit about the film we're going to see tonight, and afterwards then we have the opportunity for a discussion. Yes.
Ευχαριστώ πολύ το Ινστιτούτο και του Φιλμ και την Ταινιοθήκη και την κολεκτίβα του Φιλμ και ιδιαίτερα την Νατάσα και τον Γκάρι.
Okay, sorry. Thank you. Okay. Oh, okay. That's better. So I want to thank the German Film Institute and the Film Museum and the Frankfurt Film Collective, and particularly Natascha, Gika and Gary Vanisian.
Λοιπόν, για το IDÉES DFF ήθελα να πω ότι είναι φτιαγμένο το 1977, δηλαδή 48 χρόνια πριν. Και η προβληματική του είναι το γυναικείο σώμα και πώς αυτό αναπαρίσταται στη σύγχρονη τέχνη.
So, to say a few words about the DFX DSIRE that you are about to see. This was a film made in 1977, which is 48 years ago, and it is about the women's bodies in contemporary art and how these bodies are represented.
Είναι δηλαδή η αναπαράσταση του σώματος και το σώμα της αναπαράστασης που είναι το ίδιο το φιλμ.
So we have on the one hand the representation of bodies, and on the other the body of representation, which is the film itself.
Η μορφή του τίτλου είναι ένα κλειδί για την ανάγνωση του φιλμ, γιατί μπορεί να διαβαστεί οριζόντια κάθετα και λοξά, γιατί το IDÉES που είναι γαλλικό έμμονες ιδέες, το DFF που είναι λατινικό που είναι μέρες οργής, μπορεί, στην πραγματικότητα ήταν IDÉES φίξες και διαβαζόταν οριζόντια κάθετα και λοξά, και έτσι μπορούμε όλες ό,τι βλέπουμε να καταλαβαίνουμε ότι λέγεται και μετά αντιστρέφεται και μετά ξανααντιστρέφεται και ούτω καθεξής. Άρα μπορούμε να διαβάσουμε το φιλμ όπως διαβάζουμε το τίτλο ως κλειδί.
So the form of the title of the film, it's a key to the film, to its interpretation. The title can be read horizontally, vertically, but also diagonally. The two parts of the title, IDÉES, DFF. IDÉES is French, obsessive ideas, and DFF, of course, is Latin, days of wrath. So this, the title in the beginning, it was IDÉES IRAE. So you can read it in all these ways, because this is a key to the fact that the film itself says things and then contradicts them and then comments on them. So it is a multiple way of reading the film, and the title indicates that.
Και βέβαια το DFF είναι και μία έμεση αναφορά στο DFF του 43 του Dreyer, και που για μένα και πάντα, και την εποχή που δεν είχα δει καθόλου τα σύγχρονα φιλμ, δηλαδή την εποχή που ήμουν έφηβη στην Αθήνα, θεωρούσα πάντα ότι ήταν η πιο φεμινιστική ταινία που είχα δει ποτέ.
Of course, DFF is also in honor to DFF of Dreyer, by Dreyer, a film of 1943. She had seen that in Athens before going to France, before seeing contemporary films. This was a film that she considered already then as very deeply feministic.
Τώρα, ως προς τη δομή του φιλμ, θα ήθελα να πω τα δύο δύσκολα σημεία, κυρίως για το σημερινό θεατή, που είναι ότι ξεκινάει από δύο μεγάλα πλάνα, τα οποία έχουν μια λογική να αφήνουν το θεατή να συλλογίζεται πάνω σε αυτά, να αναρωτιέται, και που έχουν να κάνουν με το βάθος που ενώνεται με το ύψος το ένα, και το άλλο με το βάθος που έρχεται προς τα μας, προς το βαθούλωμα που γίνεται εξόγκωμα. Αυτά είναι τα δύο πρώτα πλάνα, και μετά στο μέσο ακριβώς του φιλμ έχουμε ένα άλλο μεγάλο πλάνο, το οποίο όμως έχει τελείως άλλη λογική και είναι ένα κλείσιμο ματιού στην απεσιότητα του θοήβου των υπερρεαλιστών.
So, to close, there are two difficult moments in the film, particularly for the contemporary viewer. The initial two shots, which are very long for people who are not accustomed to long shots, static and long, and they are a kind of inner commentary to perspective. Because the first one, if you contemplate on it long enough, you will see that the hate and the notion of the depth identify with each other, of course, because in perspective it is the same line, the depth and the hate. And the second shot, again, it is this feeling that either that it comes out to you or that it gets inside. So these first two shots are very long and are meant to be seen and contemplate on. And also in the middle of the film, there is again a very long shot, in which case it is a kind of indication of as he said, of ugliness, the ugliness of hyper-realism, of being too real. So it is the only colored shot of the film, and it is too real and too long, and well, you have to be patient.
Ναι, και βέβαια λέγεται défense, που είναι άμυνα, που είναι ταυτόχρονα η άμυνα του θεατή, αλλά και κάποιες άλλες εκδοχές του τι μπορεί να είναι. Δηλαδή είναι η στρατιωτική μορφή, αλλά είναι ταυτόχρονα και η άμυνα στην ψυχανάλυση.
Okay, in this shot in the middle, it says La Défense. It is a specific metro station, but it is also the kind of the military term, but also the kind of resistance to psychoanalysis and the resistance of the spectator.
Thank you. Και καλή θέαση.
Thank you, and I wish you a good viewing.
Είμαι στη διάθεσή σας για να συζητήσω μαζί σας.
I am at your disposal to discuss whatever you want.
Otherwise, we would start with a first question, and then at any time feel free to raise your hand and step in. So I would like to ask you, first of all, thank you for being here with the film, for showing the film, for the insightful introduction to the film. I would like to start by asking you if you could elaborate more on the context, so to say, the artistic, the social context in which this film was made. So whether the people you worked with see, whether they were friends or artistic collaborators, and what kind of just also emotional state there was in making this film.
Είχα αποφασίσει να κάνω σινεμά πριν φύγω μέσα στο δικτατορικό αγώνα, και πηγαίνοντας μέσα από ένα όνειρο, δεν υπάρχει λόγος τώρα να διηγηθώ, αλλά ήθελα να κάνω ένα σινεμά αποδόμησης πινάκων και επαναδόμησης με ένα μηχανισμό σύνθεσης των νερών. Αυτό από τη μια μεριά, και από την άλλη μεριά ότι είχα αποφασίσει ότι κατά κάποιο τρόπο αυτό το σίνεμα, το δεύτερο κομμάτι, είναι ότι είχα θελήσει να βάλω βιώματα μέσα σε πίνακες, αυτούς τους αποδομημένους πίνακες, αρχικά αυτό, και μετά θα πω για το περιβάλλον της Γαλλίας.
Okay.
Μπορείς να πεις και ότι έφυγα.
Okay.
Ναι, το λέω. Ναι, εντάξει.
Ναι. Okay, I'm interpreting in the first person, but it is her that she is speaking, okay? So, I had decided what kind of films I wanted to do already before leaving Greece. She told me to tell you that she left because of the junta. She was in the resistance against the dictatorship, and so she needed to either go underground or leave because the others were arrested. So that's why she kind of left without any preparation, and she got to Paris. But even before that move, she already knew what kind of films she wanted to do, although she hadn't decided to actually do films. Because she had seen a dream, which she describes in the documentary if you come tomorrow, and she wanted to do the kind of film that deconstructs paintings and reconstructs them, and also the one part are the deconstructed and reconstructed paintings, and the other side are her personal experiences, which are also become part of the films.
Όταν ένα χρόνο μετά αφού έφτασα στο Παρίσι βρήκα ότι υπήρχε αυτή η σχολή και αποφάσισα να πάω. Ήταν μια φάση που περνούσε αυτή η σχολή που ήταν πολύ ενδιαφέρουσα, γιατί μετά ήταν μια πρώην συντηρητική σχολή η οποία καταστράφηκε με το Μάιο του 1968 και ξαναδομεί το με τα καγιέ ντε σινεμά που δίνανε μια όθηση στη σύνθεση, πολύ περισσότερο στη σύνθεση.
So it was about 1 year after she was in Paris when she realized there was the film school, IDÉES, Institut des Hautes Études Cinématographiques, which it was during a very creative period of its existence. Before it had been rather conservative, but in May 1968 it was kind of destroyed and remade anew. So at the time when Antoinetta went there, it was remade with the collaboration of Cahiers de Cinéma, the journal, the film journal.
Και η έμφαση ακριβώς δινόταν στη σύνθεση και επομένως για μένα που είχα μια αιμονή με τη ζωγραφική, η εφηβεία μου ήταν μια αιμονή με τη ζωγραφική και όμως πολλές φορές ζωγράφιζα κάτω από ένα πνεύμα κινηματογραφικό. Όταν ήρθε ο καιρός να κάνω σινεμά ήταν ολοκληρωτικά δεν σκεφτόμουν καθόλου ταινίες αλλά μόνο ζωγραφική.
So this film school, I mean IDÉES, was giving an emphasis on composition and not in other kind of knowledge. So Antoinetta was obsessive with painting even a lot before coming to France. And but when she was painting, she had a lot in her mind films. She was thinking of films and cinema when painting. But the complete opposite, when she actually started studying cinema, she had in her mind painting. So there is a kind of contradiction there. She was painting, thinking of cinema, and she made films thinking of painting.
Από την αρχή στην IDÉES και εκείνη την εποχή μας βάζα στα βαθιά νερά και δουλεύαμε μόνοι μας μελετώντας φιλμ και ήμασταν μια ομάδα πολύ φίλοι που το κάναμε μάλιστα ένα φιλμ για την Rea Walldén που ήμασταν όλοι πραγματικά ο Πάκο Περινιάν, ο Ισπανός της ΕΤΑ, ο Αρτούρ Μακάιγκ με την ΡΕΙ, μετά ήταν ο Φρανσουά Μαργολέν και ο Πιέρ Λεβί που ήταν τροτσκιστές και κάναμε ένα φιλμ. Μετά ήμασταν πολύ καλοί φίλοι, αλλά ο καθένας πολύ σύντομα πήρε το δρόμο του.
Okay, so from the start in the school, they were kind of thrown in the deep. They were given films to work, and they were asked to do a lot immediately when entering in the school. In this school, they were a group of people in her class. They were very close friends, and they helped each other with their films. Their initial film was about Eva Forest, who was arrested in Spain. At the time it was Franco in Spain, and she was under threat of being executed. So their first collective documentary was to defend Eva Forest, and the group of people was Pierre Levy, François Margolin, these were the French ones. Then it was Paco Perignan, who was not Spanish, but not Spanish, it is είναι όχι Καταλανός, Βάσκος, who was Basque, and then it was the Irish Arthur Mackay. So each of them, at the time, as you understand, they were all involved in a different kind of activism, and they took completely different ways afterwards. Immediately afterwards, Arthur Mackay did a documentary about the IRA, and he's quite famous for that, and Paco Perignan also went back to Spain. But at the time, they were friends, and you will see in the film, for example, the cinematography is Paco Perignan. So they kind of helped each other in each other's film, although they were very different.
Αλλά αυτό που πες είναι ότι μετά πολύ γρήγορα
πήρατε το δρόμο σας, το είπα αυτό. Ναι.
Και κάνοντας εγώ 2 πρώτα μικρά φιλμάκια όπου χρησιμοποίησα πίνακες, πραγματικά ολόκληρους, αμέσως μετά, και στην πρώτη ταινία αυτό είναι εμφανές, δεν ξαναχρησιμοποίησα ποτέ πίνακα ολόκληρα, αλλά μόνο στοιχεία από πίνακες, τα οποία διέσχιζαν, αναδομούνταν κατά κάποιο τρόπο μέσα από το...
So, Antoinetta, in her first 2 very short films, she used paintings and kind of photographed, cinematographed the paintings. After that, she never used the paintings as they were. She has used elements of the paintings and incorporate them in her films where the camera goes inside and there are movements. She never again recreates a painting. But in these 2 initial short films, which are lost, so you won't see them, there was cinematographing of the actual shooting of the actual paintings.
Ναι. Η κατάσταση στην οποία βρισκόμουν ήταν...
Μήπως να πεις για τους συνεργάτες της ταινίας?
Ναι, να πω
ας πούμε
ότι...
τον ήχο και αυτά.
Ναι, ότι συνεργάστηκα με τον Gilbert Artman, ο οποίος ήταν μινιμαλίστας, δούλευε με σαξόφωνα και κάναμε μια πάρα πολύ καλή συνεργασία, γιατί ο τρόπος με τον οποίο σκεφτόμουν τον ήχο ήταν μία συνέχεια του, δηλαδή θεωρούσα ότι ο λόγος, η μουσική και ο θόρυβος ήταν μία συνέχεια και έτσι ήθελα να τα βλέπω σαν μία συνέχεια.
One of the best collaborations in the film is for the sound and the music, which was a collaboration with Gilbert Artman, who is a minimalist musician. At the time he was working a lot with the saxophone, and the conception of the sound of the film, and generally of the sound of the films of Antoinetta, is a continuation between speech, music, and noise. So there is this continuation of the different kinds of sound which create a sound design, and the initial let's say game of this kind started with this collaboration with Gilbert Artman.
Που κάναμε μαζί, δηλαδή χρησιμοποίησαμε ας πούμε το αλφα-στερητικό για να φτιάξουμε ένα τζαζίστικο σύμπαν, ας πούμε, αποκολλώντας το αλφα από την υπόλοιπη λέξη και δουλεύοντας με ένα κενό και...
For example, as you have seen in the film, there is a whole sequence where they use the dictionary, the words that start with a prefix A. This A in Greek is it means something that you don't. It is the opposite. So they have separated this A βάπτιστος, βασάνιστος, and they create a kind of jazz music by creating this rhythm, which is both a question of rhythm and meaning with the dictionary and the game of the sound.
Επίσης, χρησιμοποίησαμε το οπτικό ποίημα, που είναι μία φράση η ίδια που αλλάζει συνέχεια η θέση των λέξεων, Και αυτό, ας πούμε, πολλαπλασιάζοντάς το φέραμε να το κάνουμε ένα τεχνητό τζιτζίκι, όπου δηλαδή δεν υπάρχει φυσικός ήχος, αλλά ακόμα και ο ήχος του τζιτζικιού βγαίνει από τον πολλαπλασιασμό του ήχου των λόγων.
If you have noticed, there is a moment where there is a kind of syntactic game where Antoinetta is reading the same phrase in different syntactic orders. This initially was a visual poem, and this visual poem is used in the film in other parts of the film which you may not have noticed, because they have put the sound faster, and the sound that is created is like a cicada. And this is a poem played very much faster. So most of the sound is created by voice, although it sounds as if it was natural.
Και επίσης ήθελα να εφαρμόσω, γιατί πραγματικά υπήρχε αυτή η διάθεση ότι μπορούσα να εφαρμόσω πράγματα τα οποία είχα ονειρευτεί, ότι το γρήγορο, δηλαδή ο ήχος αυτός έμοιαζε, προσπαθούσα με αυτό που κατηγορείτο ως ιστερικός ήχος, και που για μένα ήταν πολύ σημαντικός, γιατί είχα βρει, όταν έπαιζα βιολί, κρυφά αυτά έκανα ήχους οι οποίοι με ικανοποιούσαν και οι οποίοι τελικά στο mainstream κινηματογράφο θεωρούνται απαράδεκτοι, διότι βγαίνει ένα αίσθημα ιστερίας, ας πούμε.
So, she says quite a lot. She was very happy because she had the opportunity to try things and all the things that she had dreamt. One of those things, it was this game of hysteric sound, because hysteria has a bad connotation with relation to women. So she was interested to play with that. And it reminded her a kind of secret game she did in her childhood when she was learning violin, hidden from the teacher. She would create this hysteric sound with the violin, which she found very satisfying. So she recreated this hysteric satisfaction in the film.
Ναι.
Να τους αφήσουμε να ρωτήσουμε.
Ναι.
If you have any questions.
So I'm going to ask a question still about the context. Thank you very much for explaining about all this experiment on creation, which seems to be very intense and very strong and completely beautiful. But I was curious, since you mentioned you were in France in 1970s. Did you have any connections with what was going on with the feminist groups there, the feminist Marxist materialist of this time? I was curious.
Ναι. Ένα από τα πολύ βασικά θέματα που πριν μπω στην ΙΤΑΚ, με το που πήγα στη Γαλλία, ήρθα σε επαφή με το δεύτερο κύμα του φεμινισμού, και πρακτικά και ακτιβιστικά, μέσα σε ομάδα η οποία ήταν μισή Έλληνες και μισή Γαλλίδες και Γαλλίδες, και δηλαδή πριν μπω στη σχολή για μένα ήταν πολύ σημαντική του να δεχτώ ότι είμαι φεμινίστρια, γιατί αυτό συμπλήρωνε την πολιτική μου ακριβώς τοποθέτηση, γιατί αισθανόμουν στην Ελλάδα ότι το να μην υπάρχει αυτό το πράγμα ήταν μία έλλειψη, η οποία ήταν μία έλλειψη και πολιτικά αλλά και στην ίδια την ιστορία της τέχνης.
So, indeed, when she first came to Paris, one of the first things she did before even finding the film school was exactly to come in contact with feminism and the second wave of feminism. Να πω τι ήσουν και στις Vincennes.
Πέρασα ένα χρόνο.
She also had 1 year in Vincennes where she followed several semiotic psychoanalysis
and politics.
Yeah. Okay, so she was in a group which was both with French women and Greek women. It was the journal Les Sorcières, the witches, and it was the Greeks that were there. Then they came to Greece and they made the magazine The Broom, Skupa. Again, the reference are the witches. So this was very important for her. Finding feminism, it was kind of an answer to a question she already had. Her political belonging to that moment, she felt that it was something that was missing. Also, it was something that was missing to the interpretation of art. So yes, France, even before finding the film school, she found feminism and it was a need, a revelation.
Και ακριβώς τα διαβάσματα της Λούσι Ριγκαρέ, της Ελέν Σιξού, και στο κομμάτι που εγώ μιλάω συνέχεια έχω αποσπάσματα, έτσι όπως όλο είναι ένα κολάζ, και υπάρχουν και αποσπάσματα από το Speculum de l'autre femme.
And also her readings of Lucie Rigaret and Hélène Cixous were very important to her. And also, if you see in the sequence where she reads a big collage of citations, she also says collage de citations. It's the entire letter is a collage, and there are fragments from the Speculum of the Other Woman by Rigaret.
Και επίσης φυσικά κομμάτια δικά μου, ποίηματα, αναμνήσεις, αλλά και από τις Sorcières κομμάτια σε εξεργάτριες που μιλάνε για το δάσος της Βουλώνης.
This big collage has fragments also from her own thoughts, memories, but also apart from an interview of a sex worker that was exactly published in Sorcières, where she says how much it costs and all that. And also from the surrealists, there are several different sources of this collage, and they create a new commentary.
Ναι, και νομίζω ότι ακριβώς αυτή η πλευρά του φεμινισμού ήταν καθοριστική για το γράψιμο, αλλά και για την πολιτική μου τοποθέτηση έκτοτε.
And this aspect of feminism was determining for her writing, where writing is all her creation, and also for her political position.
I have a question about the colored scene, because you sort of warned us about it, and maybe about the horizontally arranged scene, because I felt like there were like ellipses and then horizon, and I felt like this scene in color was aligned with the horizontal movement, and yeah, I wanted to ask about that, and about maybe like if it's connected to painting, because I thought this ellipses maybe like film, and then horizontal. I thought about like these paintings by Courbet, where you have the ocean and then the sky, or by Caspar David Friedrich. Yeah.
Λοιπόν, καταρχήν, θέλει να ξεκινήσει ρωτώντας για το πλάνο με το έγχρωμο πλάνο, με την DFF, τη χρήση της οριζόντιας διάστασης. Αν αυτό συγκρίνεται με κάποιο τρόπο με το πλάνο που λέει ορίζοντας. Επίσης, η παρουσία της λέξης έλλειψη, που υπάρχει έτσι και έτσι, και το γεγονός ότι η οριζόντια διάσταση έχει κάποια στοιχεία που του θυμίζουν τους πίνακες, κατάλαβες, με το περιβάλλον και το Φρίντριχ και τη θάλασσα και τον ουρανό και η σχέση του ουρανού με τη γη.
Νομίζω πραγματικά ότι πέσατε εντελώς μέσα.
You are to the point. You have understood perfectly.
Η ιστορία είναι στην αρχή. Ο πρώτος πίνακας, ο οποίος είναι το βάθος και το ύψος και που είναι μία κατά κάποιο τρόπο διαστρεβλωμένη προοπτική ή μάλλον οι διαστρεβλώσεις που κάνει η προοπτική από την κάμερα ομπσκιούρα είναι από πίνακα το περίπατη του Ευκλήδη του Ρενέ Μαγκρίτ. Ναι.
Okay. The first painting that it is referenced in the film, where it is about the distortions of perspective. She starts by saying the distorted perspective, but rather not distorted perspective, but the distortions that perspective causes to our way of seeing. So the initial view, the initial reference, is from the Euclidean works by René Magritte.
Le premier plan.
The first shot.
Τώρα, η οριζοντιότητα. Λοιπόν, το έγχρωμο πλάνο είναι μια αναφορά στους hyperrealist. Δηλαδή, αν τα πρώτα πλάνα είναι surrealist, το άλλο είναι hyperrealist.
So, the colored shot is a reference to hyperrealism. If the initial shots are references to surrealism, the shot in the medium of the film is a reference to hyperrealism.
Και ακριβώς αυτό το οριζόντιο το οποίο έχει όρια, έτσι ακριβώς στο πλάνο του Νταβίντ έβαλα τη λέξη ορίζον, η οποία έχει όρια. Και αυτό ακριβώς μπαίνει εκεί όπου είναι ορίζοντας, αλλά έχει όρια. Και θέλω να αναγιγνώσετε το γεγονός ότι έχει όρια. Έχει περιορισμό δηλαδή. Είναι μια αντίφαση.
So, as you very correctly understood, the horizontal dimension of the colored shot is very important because it's a horizontal dimension that has limits. It is kind of bordered, so it is not free. And this is repeated in the shot that references David, the death of Marat, as you said. So it has the word horizon, and it is a shot without a horizon, where horizon is very much delimited inside the frame and very strictly and narrowly delimited. So it is a kind of contradiction between what the word says and what the actual image of the word presents.
Γιατί ακριβώς δούλευα και δουλεύω πολύ τη χρήση των λέξεων ως εικόνα και την ακριβώς τοποθέτηση των λέξεων μέσα στην εικόνα, δηλαδή τη σημασία της τοποθέτησης της λέξης μέσα στην εικόνα.
Because she works a lot, and at the time even more, the use of the words as images and the situating, the location, how you put inside the image the word as image. Ίσως και την αντίστοιξη.
Ταυτόχρονα ακριβώς υπάρχει δηλαδή ο πίνακας είναι, το παίζω εγώ, υπάρχει παρουσία του σώματος της δημιουργού που ξέχασα να το πω στην αρχή και ναι, ότι είναι το εδείο μου, η γλώσσα μου, εγώ παίζω ηρωνευόμενη τον εαυτό μου. Δηλαδή δεν είναι μόνο η ηρωνία της επανάστασης η οποία δεν ευωδόθηκε, αλλά είναι και αυτό η ηρωνία του ίδιου του προσώπου που είμαι εγώ, που παίζει το...
A line of interpretation of the film is also the fact that in the film the body of the creator is incorporated. That is her body. So you can see her face, her tongue, her vagina, and her body where she plays Marat in the bath. So there is, in the case of the shot with Marat, is a kind of multi-leveled irony. Because, first of all, it's an irony of herself, because she puts herself, the creator, inside the painting, inside the shot, as the murdered person. It's also, of course, it is a reference to the painting by Marat, but it's also a kind of a commentary on revolution, because Marat was a murdered revolutionary, and we have the Internationale as a song. And also played by a child's music box. So there is a kind of multi-level irony in the way things are done. And may I also add the little detail, the fact that dead Marat actually wakes up.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. But remember that our Marat is a woman, so it's not. And this one wakes up because it's a woman. I believe that is what I say. And it is, but it's a very, for a moment, we don't even have the time to see it. She just wakes up.
Μα έτσι κι αλλιώς υπάρχουν και μερικές στιγμές, μικρές, δηλαδή πολύ μικρά πλανάκια μέσα στα μεγάλα. Ήταν μία ένδειξη. Αν προσέχετε, μπορεί να δείτε και αυτά, αλλά μπορεί και να μην τα δείτε.
There are also some very, very short shots. Considering how long are some others, some are very, very short. And the idea is that you might see them, but if you're not careful, you might not. And may I add that, for example, it is in the beginning there is a woman that appears, and then there is the woman the Marat who wakes up. In the end, did you notice that is a woman with a gun that crosses the kitchen? She's also very, very fast. And I think it's also meaningful. It is.
Αλλά το θέμα είναι ότι εκεί, που με ρωτήσανε για τους συμμεταθητές μου, η πρώτη ήταν συμφοιτήτριά μου και έφερε όλους τους φίλους της. Φυσικά ήταν Ιαπωνέζα, αλλά βρήκαμε τις στολές των Κινέζων.
Okay. That was a commentary about the Maoist soldiers. In reality, they are Japanese, because it was a co-student who was the woman in front. She was Japanese, so the friends were Japanese, but they found the right uniforms.
Και υπήρχαν εκείνη την εποχή, θυμάμαι τώρα, δεν το βρίσκω, υπήρχε κάποιος Έρο λεγόταν ο ζωγράφος και έκανε American Interiors.
Ναι, εντάξει, το ξέρω.
Ναι. Και είχε από πίσω νομίζω του Παμάρος.
Ήτανε του Παμάρος και όχι Μαοϊκή.
Όχι, Μαοϊκή ήταν δική μου.
Okay, the reference is some pop art collage, American Interiors. The reference would be with Tupamaros, but in her case they were from China. Okay. It is the context, as we were asked at the time. Actually, an interesting story, it could be what happened when you screened it in Greece.
Ναι.
Which is indeed interesting, yeah.
Όταν παίχτηκε λοιπόν στην Ελλάδα, και μάλιστα παίχτηκε στο αντιφεστιβάλ που ήταν οργανωμένο από... Ήμασταν όλοι μαζί, ας πούμε, που αποφασίσαμε να κάνουμε μια αντίσταση στο επίσημο φεστιβάλ της κυβέρνησης, και ήταν η πρώτη φορά που κάναμε ένα φεστιβάλ μόνοι μας.
Ωραία, θα πω μέχρι εδώ.
Μέχρι εδώ, ναι.
Okay, first of all, it was screened in Greece after the fall of the junta, obviously. Also, it was made after the fall of the junta. It was screened in the counter festival of Thessaloniki. The same way there was a counter festival in Cannes, about 9 years later there was a counter festival in Thessaloniki. It's a long story why, but it was a difficult moment. So all the filmmakers, younger and older, and they made a festival of their own, which is part of Greek history now. Now, okay, so it was screened there and it was also awarded.
Ναι, εντάξει. Αλλά το θέμα είναι ότι εκεί που ήταν το λεξικό, η αίθουσα η οποία ήταν γεμάτη και ακουγόντουσαν ανδρικές φωνές οι οποίοι κάνανε ένα μπουμ, μπουμ. Και όταν τελείωσε αυτό, σηκώθηκα επάνω και είπα ευχαριστώ πολύ.
Να το πω σιγά σιγά.
Ναι, πες το.
So, while it was screened, during the dictionary where we have the they were strong male voices in the room screaming together with the film. Boom, boom. Okay, so when the film ended, she got up and said thank you.
Ναι, είπα ευχαριστώ, γιατί ήταν πραγματικά το αισθανόμουν σαν συμμετοχή και αυτό
Because
το πράγμα.
she thought that this was taking part, participation. So she said thank you for participating in the
Και
film.
τότε άρχισαν να πλησιάζουν προς τα μένα για να φάω ξύλο.
So they started coming closer, basically to beat her up. They were not that friendly, the participation.
Αλλά μετά μπήκε μπροστά μου ένας ηλικιωμένος διευθυντής φωτογραφίας και του σταμάτησε.
So an elderly cinematographer came in front and said, "Come on, guys, no." And they kept them behind, so they didn't beat her up.
Μετά όμως από αυτό συνεχίσαμε συζήτηση και μας βγάλανε έξω από την αίθουσα και συνεχίσαμε συζήτηση μέχρι τις 3 το πρωί και μετά πήγαμε στην αίθουσα των αρχιτεκτόνων όπου συνεχίσαμε συζήτηση, παρότι βεβαίως με κατσαδιάζανε γιατί δεν καταλαβαίναν την πολιτική πλευρά καθόλου, παρόλα αυτά γινόταν συζήτηση.
Despite all this threatening of beating her up, they had a huge conversation after they calmed down, and they had and despite the fact that they were kind of how to say that in English, aggressive because they thought that she was not political enough. They didn't recognize the political aspect of the film, and they believed that it should have been more political. But the important part is that they actually discussed about the film, and they went on, and they took them out because everyone was continuing to discuss. So they took them out of the room, and they continued to 3 o'clock in the morning, and they didn't finish. And because they didn't finish, they decided she told them, okay, we continue tomorrow. And they had a meeting in the next morning, and they came. The audience came the next morning, and they continued the next day to discuss it. So these were revolutionary times.
Ναι, ήταν revolutionary. Και αυτό είναι το θέμα, είναι ότι υπήρχε βέβαια τρομερή πολιτικοποίηση και ανάγκη για κουβέντα, αλλά ταυτόχρονα υπήρχε μια, ας πούμε, στενή άποψη για το πολιτικό, το οποίο έμενε μόνο στο θεματικό και όχι στον τρόπο γραφής, ας πούμε.
So the contradiction of the time was on the one hand that there was a very strong political aspect, also a strong need of the people to discuss, to be part of the film and all that, and this was positive. But in the same time, there was not enough understanding of the need to have a political kind of form. So the kind of discussion about political art at the time in Greece was much more conservative because they discussed more about content than about form. But this contradiction still is a very interesting one. So you don't intend to discuss afterwards and to have a meeting tomorrow morning that we continue?
But we can't stay until 3 in the morning. They kick us out here. First of all, thank you very much for the film. You know, Germany is a strange country. We have this division between Protestant and Catholic culture. And Greece is obviously Orthodox Christian. And you probably know already what I'm trying to get at. But Deleuze made the distinction between time image and moving image, right? And the time image, go ahead.
Στην εικόνα χρόνο και στην εικόνα που κίνηση, προφανώς Deleuze.
In the time image, you have a belief in the vera icon, in the true image. And that's very much an orthodox position towards images.
Έχουν λοιπόν η προσέγγιση της εικόνας ως πραγματική, αληθινή εικόνα. Έχει μια στοιχεία ορθόδοξης σχέσης με την εικόνα.
Would you say that at that time in 1977 you were still sort of, how can I say that, influenced by that view? I mean, it's the culture where you grew up, right? You have the very icon, and because you said it's about deconstruction and reconstruction of images. In a way, the film is also about Greece and about this culture of the very icon and so on.
Η ορθόδοξη κουλτούρα της εικόνας και αν αυτό το κουβαλάς μέσα σου και αυτό το οποίο είπες για την αποδόμηση και αναδόμηση των εικόνων, πώς σχετίζεται με την κουλτούρα των εικόνων των θρησκευτικών?
Ναι. Λοιπόν, καταρχήν προέρχομαι από είχα δύο άθεους γονείς επιστήμονες και δυστυχώς τη θρησκευτικότητα την πήρα από μία γουβερνάντα η οποία ήταν τρομακτικά πιεστική απέναντί μου. Έχω και συνέχεια όμως.
Okay. Her parents were both atheists and scientists. So this was not the initial relation to religiosity. Her connection to religion came from a governess that was extremely oppressive.
Η πραγματικότητα είναι ότι απεχθανόμουν τους θρησκευόμενους ανθρώπους, αλλά όπως αγάπησα την τέχνη και όπως θα δείτε ότι με έσωσε η τέχνη από την αφωνία στην οποία ήμουνα.
Να πω εδώ. The truth is that I detested religious people. However, I really loved art. And art has saved me, and as you will see in the following days, art saved me, I mean her, from losing the ability to speak.
Και η τέχνη που αγαπούσα ξεκίναγε βεβαίως από τις πυρογραφίες και περνούσε από την πομπηγία και έφτανε στη ζωγραφική την βυζαντινή, την οποία αγαπούσα πάρα πολύ. Δηλαδή, ενώ δεν είχα θρησκευτικό αίσθημα απέναντί τους, μ' άρεσε πάρα πολύ η ζωγραφική βυζαντινή και η ρώσικη φυσικά.
Ναι, η Εγγονόπουλος μετά πρέπει να πεις για τους μοναχούς.
Α, ναι, φυσικά.
She loved art starting from the cave paintings and Pompeii, but also going to Byzantine iconography. And even if she didn't have a religious feeling towards them, she really adored them. And that by Byzantine, she also means the Russian Byzantine icons, which are different.
Και ας πούμε και από την αναγέννηση μου άρεσε η πρώιμη αναγέννηση. Δηλαδή αυτοί που δεν είχαν ακόμα βρει την προοπτική σαν τρόπο γραφής ενώ ζωγραφικής.
And from Renaissance, she always preferred the early Renaissance that had not fully conquered perspective.
Και έτσι νομίζω ότι έχω επηρεαστεί από ζωγραφική πολλών ειδών. Δεν ήμουνα καθόλου επιλεκτική στη ζωγραφική, σε αντίθεση με το σινεμά που ήμουνα πάρα πολύ επιλεκτική.
So I think that I have been, I forgot the verb. It was important for me that many different kinds of painting. I have not been very selective regarding painting, unlike cinema that I have been very peculiar and selective about.
Δεν μ' αρέσει οποιοδήποτε σινεμά.
I do not like every kind of cinema. Neither do I, but...
Λέγοντας για τις εικόνες, Ναι, φυσικά είναι προφανές ότι μου άρεσε η βυζαντινή εικονογραφία. Δηλαδή μου άρεσε, αλλά δεν το αισθανόμουν. Πάντως σίγουρα όταν ήμουν στη Γαλλία δεν είχα στο άμεσο κεφάλι μου, μπορεί να ήταν στο ασυνείδητό μου, αλλά στο συνειδητό μου δεν ήταν εικόνες.
So she may have carrying them in her unconscious, but in her conscious it was not this kind of painting that she had in mind.
Shall we have one more question, or do you feel
as many as you want?
Well, maybe. So you mentioned that the film was screened in Greece and Thessaloniki. Was it also screened in France, in Paris, the context of the E-Tech or otherwise?
Ναι. Ο Νοέλ Μπέρς, που ήταν δάσκαλός μου στην IDÉES, είχε πάρει το IDÉFIX και το πήγε στο Μπομπούρ. Μόλις είχε ανοίξει, ήταν η ημερομηνία που είχε ανοίξει, και το πήγε εκεί και είχε πολύ καλές κριτικές, διότι το συγκρίνανε με τους μινιμαλίστες, με το Χέριγκερ, τους οποίους κάποιους μινιμαλίστες Αμερικάνους, τους οποίους, ναι, και underground, οι οποίους δεν τους ήξερα, αλλά τους συνέκριναν και το βρήκαν πολύ ενδιαφέρον. Το θέμα της διάρκειας.
Okay, the first screening was in Centre Pompidou. Noël Bers, who was her teacher, took it to be screened there, and it was exactly the days where Centre Pompidou was opening. So it was the first days that existed, the institution, and it had done a very good impression, and it was compared to some American underground and people that she didn't know at the time, and what had done a very good impression was precisely the length of the long shots. So, you see.
And was one question also about the making of the film? Was it made, how can I say, was it made in a dense period of time, or was it made over a long period without? I suppose there was not a budget in that sense, so it was made in an independent way.
Ο χρόνος γυρισμάτων ήταν μικρός, αλλά μετά όλη η διαδικασία ήταν μεγάλη. Η διαδικασία του post, δηλαδή το μοντάζ και αποφάσεις για τον κυρίως επειδή το έκανα μόνη μου, όχι όμως τόσο πολύ όσο σήμερα κρατάνε. Το γύρισμα ήταν σύντομο.
Okay, the shooting was very short. The time of the shooting was very dense. However, the post-production was longer. The editing and all the manipulation of the material, still not that long as nowadays. And yes, there was not much of a budget, and a lot of what is done by her.
Ήθελα να πω ότι η απόφαση ήταν το πρώτο πλάνο, δεν ξέρω αν το αναγνωρίσαν, αλλά το πρώτο πλάνο της πρώτης ταινίας ήταν μία μνήμη νεκρών και είναι το νεκροταφείο του Père Lachaise, και για μένα είναι σημαντικό ότι ξεκίνησα με το νεκροταφείο.
So the first shot is Memento Mori. In case you haven't identified, is from La Père Lachaise, which is the cemetery, the most famous cemetery in Paris. And of course it is the first shot of her first long métrage feature-length film. And for her it is important that the beginning is with the dead.
Ναι, γιατί είχα πάντα μια περίεργη αίσθηση ότι νεκρή και ζωντανή είναι μια συνέχεια.
she had always this strange feeling that the dead and the living are a continuation, a total continuation. Good closing point, isn't it?
I didn't want to say it, but yes, it's a good closing sentence for the. But no, but unless there is one question, I think Natascha, or you, I think we have also. So maybe to remind the first screening tomorrow at 6 p.m. will be documentary feature, or well, documentary not in the classical sense, but let's say a very
peculiar documentary
yes.
about and for and of Antoinetta, where basically she is telling her stories. So I think you will find it interesting and informative.
Και είναι η πρώτη φορά που σου είπα ότι θέλω να μιλήσω με λέξεις. Δεν είναι αυτό.
And it's the first time that she speaks with words, not with her films, but there you will hear her speaking. So
yeah, and it is a film which was screened at the film festival in Rotterdam in 2023, and I believe it will be the German premiere tomorrow, because I haven't
German
seen
premiere, definitely.
So
yeah.
Come.
Μα έτσι κι αλλιώς και όλα τα φιλμ είναι.
Με εξαίρεση ένα είναι γερμανική πρεμιέρα. Oh God, we are speaking to you in Greek. Sorry. All the films, with the exception of one, are German premieres.
So well then.
Thank you a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.